So I'd like to do a quick review on the Champion generator, the 3550 watt dual fuel generator. Now the wattage rating depends on how you're using this generator because it's dual fuel. So if you're using the yellow number there, that's for gasoline, and it'll give you 3,550 running watts. If you're using propane, which is the beauty of this machine, you get 3,200 running watts. I didn't realize that generators could use propane as a fuel until receiving this machine. And let me tell you, what a treat it is. I've currently got this hooked up to propane, and it's so clean, no fuss, no muss. Propane stays in the tank for an extended period of time and remains useful, whereas gasoline, I believe, has a limited lifespan of a couple months. So what we've got here is something that you can use as a backup generator in case of emergency. You can have a backup propane tank on hand at all times, and you don't have to worry about changing the fuel in either. It's just ready to go and very clean burning with the propane tank. So without further ado, let's start it up and see what happens. Now before starting it up, I should mention that it didn't come completely assembled. There was a very few things to do to get it to this state. The wheels had to be attached, the handle had to be attached, the battery cables had to be attached, obviously the propane line had to be attached as well. Let me think if there was anything else. Oh, I had to put oil in the engine. It takes 0.6 liters of oil because it comes dry. That's 10W30 oil, and it's a little bit tricky to get in there because it's in an awkward spot. It's way down here. So underneath, kind of far back, awkward to get to. They do give you this lovely funnel, which makes it much easier. And it sits like that. They didn't give me a place to keep this, but what I did was I attached some zip ties here, pop it in there, never going to lose it. I wanted to mention also that 0.6 liters of oil is basically equivalent to a large size Tim Hortons coffee, which is 20 ounces currently. So that's actually what I use to gauge how much oil to put in there. Instructions are pretty clear. You get a manual, plus the instructions are here on the side, which makes it all very easy to follow and to start the machine. Basically, attach the hose, turn the propane tank on, switch this to propane, up for fuel flow, then head over here, turn that to on. Then comes the choke. The choke is a little bit of an issue. I'll show you that in more detail later. But basically, you put the choke on and press the start button. So, very easy to start. It also has a manual start if necessary, but so far I've had no problem with the battery, and it starts instantly for me. So let's talk about that choke issue. Down here is the choke, and what I find awkward about it is that you notice the word run here and the word choke here, but look at the position that it shows the lever in. Here it appears to be straightforward, here it appears to be angled that way, but currently the choke, you can't really see, there it is, yes, is in this position. When I flip it to this, to the straight on position, that's not the run position, that's the choke on position. So there's something going on here with the icons they've used that I found really confusing in the beginning. In the manual, it also describes turning the choke on to 75%. Now, I have no idea what that means. I don't see any ability to turn the choke on to 75%. It's just this way or that way. The unit comes with a great panel on the side here that can be used in multiple ways. What's interesting to me is this digital readout, which fires up when the machine is running. It'll show your voltage being produced and your hertz, which is usually around 60. Your voltage is around 120, your hertz is around 60, and then the really useful thing is the third reading, which you change by pushing this select button right here. It'll show you hours of use, because you'll want to change the oil in this machine at regular intervals, and especially in the beginning. I believe it's 5 hours that you want to change the oil out and put fresh oil in, and this will track the time that you've actually used this generator, which is fantastic. Your regular 120 volt plugs. Now, the thing to remember with these is that these are going to give you a maximum of 20 amps, and here's your 20 amp breaker in case you draw more than that. These two are going to give you 30 amps, and here's your 30 amp breaker. This one here apparently is a standard RV plug that people who use RVs know about. This one here is a 3-prong locking plug. It's called a NEMA L530R. Now, I knew nothing about those before this, but I found one on Amazon. It's about $100 for a good length of cable that will plug into this and then become 3 standard outlets at the other end. What I'm going to do this time is start it up again and then attach my circular saw to show you how the generator responds. You'll be able to hear a change in, I guess, the way it runs as the circular saw also draws power from it. The circular saw is about 1200 watts, which is, you know, getting close to just over 1/3 of the running watts that this can handle. But the circular saw, when it starts up, draws 2000 watts, which is about half of what this can do at startup. So what do I think overall? Overall, I'm very pleased with this generator. I found it quite easy to use for a first-time generator user. There was a little bit of learning curve around the choke, but otherwise I put it together, a few things that needed to be attached. I put oil in it, I hooked it up to the propane tank, and it started up just like that. It comes with a 3-year warranty, and I think it'll be really useful to me around the house in case of an emergency. You know, to run the fridge, to run the freezer, maybe to run a few lights. The other thing that this can be used for in my world is if I go to the cottage and I don't have hydro at some of the extremes of the property. So I can take this thing with me on its wheels and also bring power equipment with me and start running the chainsaw, electric chainsaw, or the power saw, or any kind of, you know, electric power tools that I need to run out there. So yes, I would recommend this machine, and the fact that it has dual fuel, propane and gas, is the real beauty behind this baby.